I'm Gerald Bentley. This is Wrestling with Sales. We're coming to you on the Wrestling Spotlight channel. And today we're taking a look into a newer organization that is starting in the Chicagoland area. See the graphic right up behind me, Northland Pro Wrestling. And Northland Pro Wrestling is getting back into it. They're stepping back into the ring on February 3rd. Our guest here, Lili La Pescadita, the women's champion, the Northland women's champion. She's going to defend her title against Lulu La Reina in Woodstock, Illinois. And Lili, I wanted to get a chance to talk to you. One, to let you explain to the viewers what makes Northland Pro different, and tell us a little bit about how you got involved with them.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for having
Sure.
me. Like, what an honor, to be able to be on your platform and talk a little bit about my trajectory, but also Northland Pro Wrestling. Northland Pro Wrestling is a place that is super like local, family oriented. Like I feel like anytime I step in there, there's always a great group of wrestlers. We always have a great like hometown crowd. Like everybody is just excited to be there and just watch some good matches and watch some good wrestling. And so when I became women's champion there, it was just very, very special for me because I had a lot of people that I knew in the crowd, a lot of family members. I remember at one point I looked through the curtain and I saw my parents sitting in the crowd, and my
Sure.
parents are so nervous about me wrestling. I'm fairly new to pro wrestling. I'm close to 2 years now in March. And my parents have always been so like, oh my God, you're gonna get hurt. Like, oh my God, like don't do that. Like, why are you doing that? And so to be able to just open the curtain and see them sitting there like waiting for me, like, oh my God. I honestly felt like I got choked up. I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. But yeah, so when I finally like, was able to go out there and wrestle against three other, really strong competitors and win the belt, it was really special. It was a really special moment for me. And something I did not visualize 2 years ago. Like, had you asked me if I was gonna be here doing this in my
Yeah.
life, I would tell you you're crazy.
Well,
So just the simple fact of just being there in that moment was really special.
what made you get into it? Because I mean, in everything that people do, that drive to say, "Hey, I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's time to go." That's such an important factor in making people successful at anything. What
Yes.
made you decide, "Hey, I'm going to try this"?
Oh my goodness. Well, my boyfriend wrestles. So
Okay.
it was kind of like it was gonna happen. That we've been together for quite some time now. And he's been wrestling for close to 9 years now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
close to 8, 9 years. And so it's just always been something that I've watched him. I started watching him. We're both athletes. We both do powerlifting in the gym.
Hmm.
We both play soccer. He played football. He played college ball, and I myself played college soccer too.
Okay.
And so I think that being able to see him start off with no wrestling background and get into it, and then seeing his evolution from where we were, before he started till now is just insane to me. So I think that it just rubbed off on me where I would go to his shows, I'd be like, go babe, I'd be excited.
Sure.
But I really didn't understand wrestling. I'll be honest with you. Like I never watched it as a kid. Like, I did watch like, obviously like The Rock, Stone Cold, Batista. Like I knew like the household names, but
Hmm.
I wasn't really like an avid fan. So I think I just learned to love it through him. But I think what really the one thing I really fell in love with was seeing that change in him, and seeing him really excited about something. And anytime he would have a match, he'd come and tell me, "Oh my God, it went like this," and I'd be trying to understand, and I didn't get it.
Sure.
And then one day I went to one of his wrestling shows, and I saw a girl who was wrestling, and she was Mexican. And so I was like, okay, if she could do that, I think I could do that too. Let me
Uh,
try this. Let me see what I got. And so it just kind of went from there. I told my boyfriend that I wanted to try wrestling. I wanted to go train. He was shocked. He was like, okay, well, you can come train with me at our wrestling school, Chicago Style Wrestling.
okay.
And yeah, so I went and I fell in love with it. It was definitely a challenge. Nothing that I've ever done like before. Nothing like anything I've ever done in my life. And so I think that is also another thing that drove me. The fact that every time I stepped into the ring, I always learned something new and I always get over some kind of fear. And I'm like, hey, I can actually do this. This is cool.
Hmm.
So
And
it just pushes you.
has it helped you in other aspects too? Now that you've gone ahead, you've taken that step, you've faced that fear head on. Does it help you in your regular day to day too?
Yes, definitely. I feel like wrestling, especially I'm gonna put over Chicago style wrestling a lot because that's my home, my training ground, and
Sure.
I feel like I got the shot at Northland Pro Wrestling because of Chicago style wrestling, and the community that is there, especially with the new wrestlers, the people who started when I started, like it's a really tight knit community, and everybody's always supporting everybody there, and like it's really intimidating when everyone's in training and you don't know how to do a certain move and they're like go ahead and do the move like a bump. I remember when I took my first bump I was like
Uh-huh.
I don't know how to do this, and my coach was like Steve Boss, he's like just he was showing me how to do it, and everybody was just staring at me, just watching me, and I was like, oh my god, like why are y'all looking at me, like turn around. But in the end, after I did it, like everybody was clapping and everybody was really happy that I did it. It wasn't pretty, but it got done. And so I feel like that attitude of doing it, and it's okay if you're shy, like you're going to have to do it in front of a crowd eventually if you want to get into doing pro wrestling.
Sure.
And being able to just get over that fear definitely translates over to a lot of things just in general. It's like that thing, where it's like, okay, if I can dive, from in the ring, do a suicide dive, I can definitely do this other thing over here, with my job or
Sure.
anything else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a really quick time too, from 2 years to wrestling regularly. How many matches are you gonna wrestle in a month?
Well, I mean, I have a goal. I would love to wrestle twice a weekend,
Hmm.
just to get as many reps as I can. At this point, I have 27 matches so far.
Okay.
I had my first match last year in April, and then I slowly started getting into like the wrestling scene. Like it hasn't been like super like back to back, but in 2024, this year, I definitely have that goal where I want to just get my reps in. I feel like that's the only way that I'll learn how to do the little things,
Sure.
and I feel like every single match, whether it's in training or whether it's like a match in front of a crowd, I learned something new. And that's the thing that makes me hungry because I'm like, no matter what kind of match it is, if I did amazing or if I did, not so good,
Yeah.
I still, take something away from it. And I think that's my biggest driver, the fact that I can still learn something from it and then just get better and apply that for the next, match or the next opponent.
Well, and you learn from both, right? You learn from excelling, from hitting that goal, and
Yes.
sometimes you learn even more from just coming up a little bit short.
Yes. Oh my God. There's been so many times where I've gotten so mad at myself because I'm like, I know I didn't do my best performance or, something was off or whatever. And that when those things happen, that's when I'm like, man, I really have to fix that because I never want that to happen ever again. And then comes the tape studying, comes the training, like that specific thing during practice, like that is a big driver too, because I feel like when I have great matches in my head, right, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this was great, but when I talk to Vic, my boyfriend, he's like, yeah, he's like, you want me to be real? I'm like, yeah, go ahead, give it to me.
Sure.
So he tells me that I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't want anyone to baby me. I don't want yes men. Like I want people to be real with me and tell me what I can fix. And it's not gonna hurt my feelings because at the end of the day, like I want to get better, and I feel like the people who I choose to have around me or who I choose to be around are people who are gonna uplift me. You can tell when there's people who are like a little bit like, that you want to stay
Sure.
away from in the industry. But I think that's with anything. You find your crew, you find your people, and then you stick to them and get better.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want someone that's negative just for the sake of being negative because then you're never going to achieve anything. But if you're being told things that are going to be constructional, they're going to help you, they're going to help you build towards your goal, then there's definitely value in that. And
Amen to
yeah,
that.
very true.
Amen to that. I feel like me and Vic both come from our background in powerlifting, so with powerlifting, it's a sport that is very like, you do it on your own. You know, you don't have a team. Well, you do have a coach and stuff, you know, you have your
Sure.
fellow powerlifters, but it's you getting underneath a barbell, hitting a squat, hitting a bench, hitting a deadlift, and you compete, and that's it. But I feel like in wrestling, it's way different because now it's not just about you. It's about how good you are, yes, but also how good you can make your partner look. You know, how you can work with your partner. It's like your dance partner is what they
Hmm.
always say in pro wrestling. And I think that aspect is very, very special and unique to this. Because even if, like, you know, maybe you might have some beef with somebody and you don't like them, but guess what? When you get into the ring with that person, you got to keep it professional,
Yeah.
and you know, and that's when you know you have like like a truly professional athlete, is when you have that mentality of like, hey, you know what? I might not like you in real life, but I'm gonna work with you, and we're gonna go and we're gonna kill it. We're gonna put
Yeah.
all that aside and we're gonna go and kill it.
Oh, absolutely. And then you have to relate to the fans in the stands too,
Oh my
because
gosh,
that's
yes.
the third element. Because if they're not involved, if they're not captivated, then it almost doesn't matter what you're doing. So there's a degree to
That's
which
right.
you have to get over with the fans in order to make something work. How's
That's
that?
exactly
How
it.
hard is it? How hard was it when you got into the ring for the first time
Oh my
in front
goodness.
of fans?
Well, for me, it was a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but I think I want to say like smoother,
Uh-huh.
only because my very first match was in front of family and friends.
Okay.
So they know who I am, you know, they know me on different levels. And you know, if they didn't know, if we're not like close, like they follow me on social media, for example, and so they see what I'm about when I post on there. I like to post a lot of, it's like my diary, like social
Mhm.
media. Like I post a lot of gym content, a lot of kind of like where I'm at mentally that day. I don't do too much, but I do just
Okay.
enough. I don't reveal too much. um but I feel like definitely when I had my first match, I was nervous for sure, that never goes away. um but I felt more calm, you know. I felt more calm, and I just wanted to make sure I did a good job. But it's hard, definitely. Like I feel like I'm still learning who I am in the ring. I'm still trying to figure myself out. And it takes people sometimes it takes people like a short time to figure that out. Sometimes it takes people longer to figure that out. But you know, for me, I definitely am figuring out who I am in there, you know, and what kind of a wrestler, what kind of an athlete I am in the ring, because
Oh,
there's so many styles, there's so many in tape study, like there's so many different styles that I love to watch. I love Eddie Guerrero, I love China,
uh-huh.
I love her vibe, like I love the Impact Women, Masha Slamovich, Deanna Perrazzo, Jordan. Like I love watching like how they work. So I just like try to pick and choose like what works for me and what like can elevate me as an athlete, but also, yeah, as a character. I'm definitely still working on that for sure.
Well, who would you describe your how do you describe your own style? As opposed to saying, "Who are you like?" How do you describe yourself?
I would describe myself as like a little gangster.
Okay.
I'm a little bit hood, you know. I can get down and dirty if we need to get down and dirty, but I can also go and put up a good fight, no matter, you know, no matter what size of a person I'm wrestling. If she's bigger, if she's or he, bigger, smaller, like I can put up a fight, and I have a fighting attitude. I can bring a little bit of a hood rat out into the ring, because I'm from the streets of Chi-Town, Illinois, of course,
Okay.
born and raised. But I definitely think that my strength, through powerlifting especially, and my determination and like the never give up, the perseverance, the never giving up attitude, informs that, and informs kind of like the way that I wrestle. I love being more technical and learning more technical moves, but I also love like, you know, strong style. I
Mhm.
love picking people up. I love, you know, doing all that. So definitely, I love doing suicide dives. When I learned how to do it, it was so scary, but when I finally did one, it was a rush. It was definitely a rush. And I would also describe myself as somebody who is not afraid to push it. I had a ladder match at Chicago Style Wrestling. That was the last show in November of last year. and I got power bombed onto a ladder,
Mm.
and that was only the second power bomb I've ever taken. I've never taken a power bomb, and that's the first, obviously, power bomb I've taken on a ladder. And I felt like after that, I felt like I earned like one stripe, like I was a tiger and I earned one stripe.
Yeah,
I
sure.
really felt that way. And I think that's a testament to how my mentality is and what I pull from all the wrestlers that I've been studying and watching for sure.
Well, and just to pop it up here, Northland Pro Wrestling getting back at it Saturday, February 3rd. It's in Woodstock, Illinois. And there is our guest right there, Lili La, with that highly coveted Northland Professional Women's Championship. See Cody James up there from the National Wrestling Alliance. Who are some of the other roster members at Northland Pro Wrestling that people should be excited to come and see?
Oh, I would definitely say the champion, of course, Eric Schultz, Rafa Quintero, El Mero Iniestra, or El Sueño Iniestra, the dream. That's my boyfriend.
Okay.
The one right there with the little holding the jacket.
Uh huh.
And then we have a lot more, definitely a lot more people on the roster that I'm definitely gonna forget. But I know that it's a good group of people who are coming out to put on a show for everybody at Northland. I'm very, very excited for it.
And what about your opponent in the match?
Lulu La Reina. Oof. This chick has been around for a minute. I've seen her stuff here and there. What I know is that she started wrestling before I did. She left. She stopped wrestling for a little period of time,
Okay.
and now she's back. I know I might be one of her beginning matches back. I believe she may have like a few under her belt. But this girl is asking for a cat fight, so we're gonna go and we're gonna have a cat fight. We're gonna have a cat fight, and it's gonna be a good little brawl. I'm very,
Okay.
very excited for it. I know that she's like a little firecracker. She calls herself the top Latina, but you know what? She's looking at another Latina here, so we'll see about that,
Yeah, you're
honey.
going to argue that case, right?
I will definitely argue that case. She comes out to her music, she dances a little bit of salsa and all that, but you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I could do that too. So, we'll see how that goes. I'm very, very pumped for it. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a good brawl, and I don't think it's going to be pretty, but I think it's going to be a good street fight, a good brawl. And that's something that is super necessary. I love that in women's wrestling. I love it when two women can go out there and just have an all-out brawl, and it's not going to be pretty, but it's going to be effective. And I'm definitely excited
Yeah.
for that.
Well, one thing that you've definitely seen over the last few years across all the different spectrums, all the major promotions, the women are getting to go just have regular matches, have street fights, have no
Yes.
holds barred matches, have death matches, have
Oof.
steel cage matches. I mean, one of the most violent matches they've had in all elite wrestling was Thunder Rosa against Britt Baker.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different era where the women are being treated just like the men in terms of what you're allowed to do and the level of competition you're in.
Exactly, 100%. And I do also want to say that my first match at Northland Pro Wrestling, my debut match was against Haven Harris.
Okay.
She also trains at Chicago Wrestling. She just graduated from Black and Brave Wrestling in Iowa,
Seth Rollins
and
school.
yeah, exactly. And she is, woo, man, she goes hard. When I had my first match against her, like we went at it. Like, I definitely feel like wrestling with against somebody like her, especially on my very first match,
Sure.
set the bar high because she lays it in. She like is not trying to like again baby me or anything like that. Like her expectations of me, even if it was my first match, were very, very high. And I feel like that helps me. That helps me kind of gauge where I'm at as a female wrestler. Sometimes I will say, as a woman wrestler, I feel like, oh my God, should I do it harder? Like, or should it be less? Like, I don't know, how to gauge how hard I should go sometimes. But with women like her, also we've had Chicago Style Wrestling, Sky Blue,
Mm-hmm.
Queen Amanada. They came to training. They came to one of their trainings, and I got clotheslined by Queen Amanada, and that hurts. That was really hard. And so I appreciated it though, because I was like, I need to feel that. I need to understand how that is, because then that way I can gauge how I can do it too. Like
Sure.
it kind of like wakes up that thing in your head where you're like, okay, if okay, they're going hard, let me go hard too. I can do it too. So it definitely is a big change, and much appreciated like thing that I'm watching with women's wrestling. It's so hot right now, you know, like there's so
Yeah.
much happening in so many, you know, companies. But like I said, my favorite is Impact. Those are the women that I definitely
Well,
look up to.
TNA now.
TNA, exactly,
Yeah.
TNA.
Changed the name again.
They did.
Changed the name back to the original. Well,
Yeah,
hey,
but it's
I
been a
do want to
dream.
ask you, because you mentioned two names from Chicago style wrestling, which is also part of Wrestling Spotlight. We're going to have some more Chicago style wrestling content on the channel as well. But Sky Blue, who's broken through in All Elite Wrestling, and Queen
Yes.
Aminata just signed a contract with All Elite Wrestling.
Yep.
How does that make you feel, getting a chance to work and train with a couple of women, a couple of contemporaries who have just been signed by the second biggest company in the world?
It is surreal. It's nerve wracking because you know you want to do well. I want to do well in front of them. Anytime they've been there together once, and
Uh-huh.
Sky drops in periodically. You know, sometimes depending on her schedule. And anytime Sky's there, or anytime Queen Aminata's there, or this one time that she was there, I definitely was very nervous. I was like, oh my God, I hope I do good. Like I hope that I don't embarrass myself. Like
Sure.
I hope that I go ham. And just being able to see their level, be in the presence of high level wrestlers like them, elevates not just me, it elevates like everybody in that room, you know, everybody in that training center. And I feel very blessed to be able to have that example, you know, in them, and being able to kind of see where they came from, you know, kind of know their story, and be able to talk to them and ask them for advice, which I definitely did when they were both there. I was like,
Hmm.
hey, you know, like help me, help me, advise me, please. And so I'm very, very happy for both of them. You know, I
Yeah.
I definitely am rooting for both of them. I know for Queen Aminata, for example, like her father passed away, you know,
Mhm.
and I feel like being able to see somebody go through that on social media where she talks about it, and now to where she's at right now, where she's back in the game and she's elevating her game and doing it alongside one of her girls, Sky Blue.
Sure.
That's really cool. That's really dope to see.
Now, what was the biggest piece of advice those two gave you?
They said to. Do you really want to know? They
Sure.
said to lay in the clotheslines. They say lay in the clotheslines, because my clotheslines, you
Hit
know,
hard.
hit hard. Exactly. Like my clotheslines and my forearms, they were, you know, the clotheslines. Both of them are something that I've been trying to work on, and that's why Queen Amanada was like, "No, this is how you do it." She stepped into the ring. She's like, "I'm gonna give you some clotheslines, okay?" And I was like, "All right." And boom, she like was laying them so hard. Like I swear, like the next day, it knocked the wind out of me. That's how hard it was.
Sure.
But again, like it was just lay it in and just go hard, like go at it. Don't look like, oh my God, I'm lost. Like no, like commit and be confident. Those were the two things that they told me that night. And the next day, when I woke up with a bruised chest, you know what? I knew it was worth it. It wasn't just a dream; it was real.
Sure. Sure. Because, I mean, I'd imagine that's the goal, right? To get to TNA, New Japan, WWE, AEW.
Yes, exactly, definitely. And, you know, it's funny because in pro wrestling, when you're a fan, or when you're looking at it from the outside, not even a fan, like when you're looking at it from the outside, like as something new, maybe as a fan, you think, oh wow, like I can never do that. I can never be signed one day. Like I can never, like, you know, when is that going to happen? You might have that mentality, but I feel like once you're in it as a wrestler, it's a very small community. Everybody knows everybody. You know, everybody has connections with everybody, and you see that nowadays with like Dolph Ziggler going to TNA, or like, you know, you have different people
Sure.
popping up in different promotions, and it's like, I didn't know they knew each other, but of course they know each other. Because again, when you hit that level of, you know, whatever it is, athleticism or profession, that level of the profession of being at the high level, doing your best in all aspects of wrestling, character, athleticism, going to the gym, hitting your nutrition, making sure you're checking all the boxes and connecting with the crowd, of course. you get to that level of, all those people too,
Sure.
and even now on the indie scene, the indie scene is so hot right now, and I have started to meet people who I've seen in other indie promotions, and now you're like, hey, what's up? Oh my god, maybe you work with them, and
Sure.
maybe you run into them later on. And now this community, all of a sudden, that it seemed impossible for you to be signed, or it seemed impossible to get to a high level in this sport, in this, in this profession. All of a sudden, it becomes really real. And now when you have people like Sky, people like Queen Amanada, my man wrestled Carlito. He at Chicago Style Wrestling. So like,
Okay.
what? Like, when
Yeah.
was that gonna happen? He wrestled Samurai del Sol too, formerly known as Kalisto, at
Uh-huh.
Chicago Style Wrestling. And I was just like, bro, like, it's so real. Nothing is impossible, and it's so sad when people say, oh, I'm too old for that. Oh, I can't because, whatever, the wave already passed. Like, no, like, it's never ever like that. I'm 33. I just turned 33, and I've been doing this for 2 years now. And a lot of people would think that at my age, I know a lot of people my age were like, I'm too old for that. I'm like, no, you're not. You are just getting started. Like, don't have that mentality. So yeah, it's definitely been a really amazing time to see wrestling grow and be this hot.
Well, that's even more motivating that you've only been going at it for a couple of years and you chose to start at that point where most people, I'm sure, were saying, hey, this isn't going to work. You can't do it. And right here in Northland Pro, Cody James signed with the National Wrestling Alliance. And
That's
when
right.
I had a chance to talk with him, he told me his goal was to be signed by a national promotion before the age of 35. And he signed with the NWA at 34. So, right
Boom.
there in Northland Pro itself, you have a motivational target with Cody James, the Barker, part of Magic Inc. and the National Wrestling Alliance.
That's right. And it's like, again, one of those things where, are you going to take that and use it to help you? Or are you going to take that and just kind of be like, and toss it aside and continue with, like, maybe like a negative mentality, or like a you
Sure.
can't do it mentality? Like, which one are you going to do? Like, all of us have that choice. And I think that that's definitely another thing I appreciate about pro wrestling just in general. Being able to see people so close to you like that have shots, and
Hmm.
then get signed and things like that. So for sure, Northland Pro is gonna be a ride on February 3rd. It's gonna be great.
Yet the thing that impresses me just across the different promotions from, MLW, NWA, Chicago Style, Northland Pro, Future Stars in Las Vegas, is there's that running thread of the people that are successful are
Yeah.
almost universally positive, be it a heel or a babyface.
Mhm.
Positive, great attitude, ready to work, and you know that a lot of it is within your hands. If you go out there and put on the show, get the people on their feet, that's the whole key. And even though you may have some things going against you, you have so much ability in your own hands to determine your future. It's great, and
Amen to
I think
that.
it's incredibly motivational just across any industry to hear people saying that, because how many people in their day-to-day job are just, "Ah, this won't work. It's never gonna work. Everything's against me." And
So
you know
true.
what? Yeah, you're right. If
So
you're
true.
convinced everything's against you, it is.
Exactly. And I think that personally for me, like, I grew up in a Mexican household. My parents are very much, they've never been like, oh, you're not married and you don't have kids. What's going on? They've never been like that. But they've always been nervous of me doing sports,
Uh-huh.
whether it was soccer. They hated that I would do soccer seven days a week, indoor, outdoor, 2 games a day. Like, I was really, really intense with soccer, and they were very much against it, very much like, you're wasting your time. When I moved to powerlifting, same thing. You're wasting
Yeah.
your time. You're gonna get hurt. You're lifting heavy weight. Oh my God. Like, we hear a lot of women in powerlifting say that their family, or especially their parents, or mom or dad, your ovaries are gonna fall out if you lift that much weight. Oh my God, you will not be able to have kids. All these things. And now with pro wrestling, same story. It's them being nervous about me going out and doing a match. My dad does not like me. He does not like going to watch my matches because he's like, You're gonna get hurt. I didn't even tell my parents I had a ladder match because I knew that they were gonna be like, oh my God, don't even
Sure.
go. Like they were gonna freak out. It wasn't until I dropped a promo on my social media and I had my mom as a friend on Instagram, where she's like, why did you do a little video about you and a ladder? What's going on here? She goes, you better not do anything that's not wrestling, okay? Nothing involving a ladder or anything like that. I was like, Ma, if only you knew.
Well, and you
But
can't
like,
say to them it's just a tope suicida and
yeah.
hope they don't realize what you're saying. They'll
Well, my
figure that
dad
out.
didn't know what that is. He loves lucha. He watches lucha. But when
Okay.
it comes down to his daughter, his baby girl doing it, nah, he is not about it. But just being able to push through that. You know, I know my parents love me and they care about me, but to be able to have that every day, every day, every day, and you wanting something so bad that you're like, you know what, I love you guys, but I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this. It's just even more motivating, you know? So like no one can stop me. Like I'm gonna go and I'm gonna try this. And so at the end of the day, like they're happy for me. You know, when I won the belt, they were like, wow, congratulations. We took pictures, we took selfies.
Sure.
It was definitely a nice moment, you know, and I'm like, it's nice. Maybe they don't say it at that moment when they're like, oh my God, we're scared that you're gonna get hurt. Um, but I know that they're really proud of me and they want the best for me. So it's great.
Terrific. And I'm sure there's lots of other Chicagoans who are really proud of you. Let's give you an extra belt. Let's give you the
Oh,
dealership rescue belt. Get to be the champion of the week here on
yes. Thank
Wrestling
you.
with Sales, the Wrestling Spotlight. Just a few quick questions, the championship round. You've mentioned a few contemporary female pro wrestlers. Who's your biggest role model that's currently wrestling?
Ooh, biggest role model. I would say two.
Okay.
Masha Slamovich and Julia from Stardom, Masha
Okay,
Slamovich
sure.
from TNA.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are my biggest role models, and the reason is because the style that they have. Yes. Oh my God, look at that swag. Like, come on. Like the moment she walks out, boom, like you already know it. And then like I just feel like both of them have that style that I want to develop one day. Like I want to get to that level where I can work with anybody. Doesn't care. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. I can go and I can put on a good show. And for Masha, her intergender matches and the way that she elevates those, you know, when sometimes in the industry, unfortunately, you hear like intergender, like I'm not interested. I don't want to watch that. But her body of work speaks for itself, especially when it comes down to intergender matches. And the reality of those matches is very, very inspiring to see. Same with Julia. So definitely both of them are
Okay.
my role models.
How about where would you like to wrestle the most?
Ooh. Well, I would
Company,
love to.
venue, country?
Ooh. I would love to go to Japan. I would love to
Okay.
wrestle in Japan. I would love it. I know a lot of women wrestlers who I follow on social media have gone to Japan or are there now. And it's just so inspiring to be able to see them go over there and learn a different style with different opponents. Japan for sure. And Mexico, because I mean, come on, like
Sure.
Mexico. That's the motherland. So I would love to go there and also learn a new style there.
Absolutely. And just one more. Your favorite move?
My favorite move. A suplex, a snap suplex. That's my favorite move. I love snaps. I just like love the feeling of like boom, like just going and destroying somebody.
Okay.
Snap suplex, baby.
Always impressive. And let's just pop our matchup here again. No Love Lost, Northland Pro Wrestling coming back to Woodstock, Illinois on Saturday, February 3rd. Doors open at 6, seat time in the first bell at 7. And you're going to get to see Lili La Pescadita defend that Northland Pro Women's Championship against Lulu La Renia. What do you have to say to Lulu? Just a quick promo as we wind it down here.
Oh, Lulu La Reina, I have put out a calling for you on social media. I don't know where you're at, baby girl. I've been waiting for you to respond. You love running your mouth. Let's see where you're at. I want to see what you got in the ring, and I'm ready to go. I don't care if it's dirty. You want to play dirty? I can play dirty. I can play the same game, and I am 100% ready for an all-out brawl. And I will be waiting February 3rd. I'm waiting for your promo. You haven't caught one on me yet. You said, I mean, I thought you were. I thought you were a girl of your words, but I guess not. But I will be there on February, and I won't miss it.
There we go. She had an open invitation, but no one here, just
Yeah,
you and me.
just you and me.
Well, Lili, best of luck. I'm sure you'll hold on to the Northland Pro Championship, and then we'll keep an eye out to see you in Chicago style, some of the other promotions here on Wrestling Spotlight. Thanks a lot for joining us here and stepping into the ring.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, I'll go ahead and wrap that up. Would you be able to do a quick promo for the station?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, just your name. Hey, I can put it in chat. That way you can see it. Maybe that's easier.
Yeah.
Haven't tried this yet, but why not?
Thank you so much. This was really fun.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Now we're trying to build up a roster of a bunch of local independent territories, and then that's what's going to fill up our TV station, and we'll have independent wrestling from around the country on the station. You can see it on Local Now, Carbon TV, a bunch of other streaming apps, 24/7.
Oh, fantastic. That sounds amazing. Drink some more water.
Okay, see if you can see that.
Yes. You can see me on Wrestling Spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And then here, I'll put you in single here.
Mm-hmm.
And then just whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All right, perfect. Let me clear my throat. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Lili La Pescadita from Northland Pro Wrestling, your Northland Pro Wrestling Women's Champ. And you can see me on Wrestling Spotlight.
Okay, terrific. Great.
Woohoo!
Hey, thanks a lot. And
No, thank you.
Yeah, we'll get this on the channel here in the next day or two and get it up on YouTube next week for y'all.
Fantastic. And it's Wrestling Spotlight. That's the name of the
Yeah, Wrestling Spotlight on Local Now.
On Local Now. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Take
I'll
the
make sure that
Local
I
Now
share
app
everything.
right there.
Perfect. I cannot wait. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. No, I had a really good time talking to you.
Okay, me too. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.